What would you do if the one you held in the highest regard turned into your most alluring temptation? The question lingered in my thoughts, a haunting murmur that I dared not voice. Some secrets linger in the shadows, cloaked in danger, bursting with intensity, enwrapped in layers of shame. But for me, it was more than a mere secret. It was a betrayal that cut to the core, a wound so profound and unhealable that even now, months down the line, I find it impossible to meet my husband's gaze without the suffocating burden of it bearing down on me. Allow me to take you back to the very start. In the time that preceded the deceptions, the weight of remorse, and the moment when it all began to fall apart. It was a night like no other, a night when everything shifted. It was a Thursday, a day like any other, yet filled with the promise of untold tales waiting to unfold. The rain pounded relentlessly against the windows of our suburban abode, a tempest that wrapped the walls around us, making the air feel heavy and suffocating. My husband Jason had ventured off on his own journey. Once again, the journey calls, and with it, a week stretches ahead, filled with the quiet distance that separates us. It was at that moment he stepped into the kitchen. David, my stepson, who is 25 years old, Jason's son from his first marriage, a boy I had nurtured since he was just 12 years old. He stood there, glistening from the shower, his bare skin taut with the tension of his muscles, and his expression a canvas of torment. David. I placed my wine glass gently on the table. What seems to be the trouble? With a moment's pause, he ran a hand through his hair, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Gather around, for I have something to share with you. In a world turned upside down, there lay a tale of chaos and confusion. The memory of my pulse racing lingers vividly in my mind, not from longing, not at that moment, but from fear. When a conversation begins in such a manner, it's clear that the outcome is unlikely to be favorable. Let me share with you the tale of my... He winced, grappling with the right words to say, dimensions, in the blink of an eye. The dimensions you possess. He released a quick, mirthless chuckle. It's not about my height, Kate. Oh my goodness. His voice fell to a low murmur, tinged with a hint of shame. I found myself visiting a doctor. It seems there's a shadow lurking within me. It was the revelation that set everything in motion. David had always been a reserved soul, deep in thought, a college athlete, bearing his father's chiseled jawline, yet possessing his mother's eyes, which tell tales of shadows and depth. He was not one to court many, nor did he ever invite young ladies into his abode. I had thought it was merely a case of shyness. I made a mistake. It's called macromastia, he murmured, his gaze fixed on the ground. Once in a while, but... it's quite the intriguing phenomenon. The doctor reassured me that it's not dangerous merely, overwhelming. His fist tightened into resolute knots. Rest eludes me tonight. The mind wanders, lost in a sea of distractions. It seems that every tale of love I've embarked upon concludes in a similar fashion. With a single glance, they flee in haste. I embrace my uniqueness. My throat felt parched. In the quiet moments of life, there are conversations that linger in the shadows, ones that a stepmother ought never to share with her stepson. Alas, Jason was nowhere to be found. And there was David. He was in pain. In my usual fashion, I set out to mend it. The treacherous descent, where one misstep leads to another, and before you know it, you're tumbling down into the unknown. In the beginning, it was merely a collection of words, comforting words that soothed the soul. It wasn't meant to be on your shoulders. You are not an outlier in this vast tapestry of life, yet in the unfolding tale, and so it was, on that fateful night, he found himself unraveling. He gasped, his voice thick with anguish. I can't continue like this. You're the sole soul who gazes upon me without the shadow of fear, as if I'm not a creature of the night. And that was the moment I stumbled into my first misstep. I wrapped my arms around him, not in the role of a mother, not in the role of a stepmother, yet as a woman who had not felt the warmth of a touch in many years. His breath caught in his throat. Mine came to a complete halt, and in that instant, clarity washed over me. This had transcended the act of lending a hand. This tale revolves around my journey. Once you cross that threshold, there's no turning back. The following weeks unfolded like a tapestry woven with stolen glances, lingering touches, and conversations that danced on the edge of something more. I convinced myself that I was merely offering my support. I was the sole soul who truly grasped his essence. But the truth, my friend. There was something captivating in the way his gaze met mine, and thus commenced the unraveling of all that was known. The most perilous deceptions are those we weave within our own minds. In a world not so far away, there lived a woman named Kate Smith. Just 3 moons ago, she would have confidently declared herself a good person, a loving partner, a nurturing figure in a child's life, a woman who took great pride in the art of uniting her family, regardless of the price to pay. But that was a time before the tempest unleashed its fury. In the time before the secrets unfolded, before I understood how effortlessly one can transform into the antagonist of their own tale. Allow me to share the essence of my being with you. The ideal existence, or so it appeared. To the casual observer, my life appeared to be a flawless portrait of suburban achievement. 15 years ago, I embarked on a journey with Jason Smith as my partner in life. A tale of a whirlwind romance following the tumultuous end of his marriage to David's mother. There was a man who thrived in the world of finance, guiding others towards prosperity as a trusted advisor. Consistent and dependable, a man who cherished anniversaries and ensured bills were settled punctually. I embarked on a journey as a freelance interior designer, crafting enchanting spaces from the comfort of my home. I transformed vacant houses into dream homes, all for clients who remained blissfully unaware of the emptiness those words could sometimes carry. In a charming restored colonial just outside Boston, we found ourselves living in a home that drew compliments from passers-by, their voices tinged with a wistful envy. Fortune smiles upon you. Indeed, I found myself in that very moment, until the moment slipped away. Whispers of fractures hidden below the facade. It was 2 years ago when the first fissure emerged, following the heartache of my 3rd miscarriage. Since David set off on his college adventure, Jason and I embarked on our own journey, hoping to welcome a little one into our lives. He referred to it as a new beginning. Yet, my body had its own narrative to unfold. Every loss etched a piece away from me, from us. Jason immersed himself in his tasks, losing track of time as he delved deeper into his responsibilities. In the depths of quietude, I found my refuge. Our hands ceased to meet. Silence fell. We transformed into mere acquaintances, cohabiting in a bed, a home, a life that seemed to belong to another. And then came David, the tale of the boy who slipped through my fingers. I had never taken on the role of David's mother. Not quite. When Jason and I tied the knot, David was just 12, still feeling the sting of his parents' divorce. He referred to me as Kate, never as Mom. In our shared space, we navigated a delicate balance, a fragile harmony woven from evenings spent in front of the screen and the simple act of sharing meals, all under the silent pact that we would both play along, as if this was just another ordinary chapter in our lives. As the years passed and he matured, growing taller, broader, and increasingly resembling his father, a change began to unfold. He would stay in the kitchen while I prepared meals, inquiring about my work and recalling my favorite wine. In a moment of vulnerability, he leaned against me, his head finding solace on my shoulder as a heavy sigh escaped his lips, a silent testament to the turmoil of a recent quarrel with his girlfriend. What is it that holds women back from embodying your qualities? It was pure and untainted. Until the moment it changed, it was a night like no other, a moment that would forever change the course of my journey. It all began with the haunting dreams. David would rise from his slumber, beads of sweat dotting his brow, muttering curses softly to himself. Initially, I believed it was merely the weight of stress upon my shoulders. In the realm of academia, where aspirations intertwine with heartache, there lies the tale of a young man burdened by the expectations of being Jason's golden boy, navigating the turbulent waters of grad school and the remnants of his failed relationships. As I stepped into the room, I caught a glimpse of him in the midst of changing. He was completely unaware of my presence, yet I witnessed it unfold before my eyes. His shame, his solitude, the swift departure of women after a single look. There was a condition known as macromastia. A peculiar condition, the doctor described it as non-life-threatening, yet profoundly challenging in social settings. For David, it felt like a heavy burden. For me, a tale unfolds. It transformed into an all-consuming passion. The reasons behind it all. He relies on me. Jason lacks the insight into him that I possess. Assistance isn't deceit, it's merely a guiding hand, every single one of them. Yet, it was on that fateful night when he crumbled, seeking solace in my embrace. On that enchanting night, I could feel his heartbeat resonating with mine, his warm breath gently brushing against my neck. I let go of my concern for the truth. The allure of power captivated me. Oh, how his voice trembled as he uttered my name. The way his hands quivered at my touch. After a long stretch of time, a sense of being desired washed over me. And so, that was the moment that changed everything. And so, the tale of unraveling commences. In that fleeting moment when our lips met, I convinced myself it was merely a twist of fate. Once again, I found myself pointing the finger at the wine. By the third, I had stopped weaving tales for anyone, not even I myself. Ah, the heart, that cunning deceiver. It takes what it wants, without a second thought. It simply claims what it desires. It was within my grasp to halt it. Deep down, I felt the weight of my choices, a whisper of truth echoing in the shadows. But when David gazed at me that night, truly seeing me not as his stepmother, nor as a mere substitute for the women who had turned away from him, but as the person I am, something within me broke free. Let me take you on a journey through the events as they unfolded. On the eve of the tempest, in the sweltering month of August, the air hung heavy with humidity, a heat that stirred a sense of restlessness within you. In the bustling city of Chicago, Jason found himself attending a conference, surrounded by the vibrant energy of the windy city. Once more, David had kept his distance throughout the week. From the moment he stepped out of the doctor's office, he had scarcely touched his food, scarcely found rest. There he was, lost in thought, gazing blankly at his laptop screen. His fingers danced anxiously, creating a nervous melody. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a deep rumble of thunder echoed through the air, heralding the arrival of a storm. With a sudden flicker, the power vanished into the shadows. With a flick of my wrist, I ignited the candles, their flames dancing to life in the dim light. Perhaps in abundance, indeed. The house radiated a warm amber light, with shadows playfully twirling across the walls. David stepped into the doorway, a figure framed by the light behind him. His visage danced in the flickering glow of the fire. There was a character named Kate. It's time for a conversation. There was something unique about the way he spoke. Bring it down. More rugged. My stomach plummeted. The revelation. There he was, seated opposite me at the kitchen table, a moment ripe for sharing tales. The flickering candlelight revealed the tautness in his jaw. I can't carry on like this, he declared. My throat constricted. What should be done? Imagine. His hands tightened into fists. Ah, you see where I'm coming from, don't you? I certainly did. The lingering glances that seemed to stretch into eternity. As I extended the cup of coffee towards him, our fingers lightly grazed against each other, a fleeting moment that lingered in the air. How we both embraced it together. I took a deep breath and swallowed. David, it's not possible for us to do that. He cut in, asserting, I'm no longer a child. And you hold a role beyond just being my stepmom, not in my tale. The atmosphere surrounding us was electric. The initial caress. In the haze of memory, the details blur, and I find myself uncertain of who took the first step. Perhaps the fault lay with me. Perhaps it was he. In an instant, his hand found its way to mine. Cozy, calm, and unwavering, absolutely. And I remained right there, steadfast and unyielding. Kate, he softly murmured, only my name, yet the manner in which he spoke, akin to a sacred plea, a forbidden act, unraveled me completely. Once we crossed that threshold, there was no going back. The kiss was anything but gentle. It was a time of great urgency, starving for something more. After years of solitude and yearning, everything converged into a single, unforgettable moment, both dreadful and exquisite. His fingers wove through my hair, creating a delicate chaos. With a firm grasp on his shirt, she drew him nearer, their connection palpable in the air. In the depths of my thoughts, a voice cried out in desperation, "Halt right there, this is not right." He is the son of your partner from a previous relationship. Yet my body chose to ignore me, nor did my heart, the echoes of what has transpired. When we at last parted ways, the truth crashed down like a frigid wave. David's eyes were as wide as saucers, filled with disbelief. Ah, what a moment of wonder. I took a step back, my fingertips resting against my lips. Alas, this path is not meant for us. Yet, in the very moment those words left my lips, a deeper understanding settled within me. The hour had grown too late. At the beginning, sin has a delightful sweetness. Ah, but the lingering essence that follows, that is what seeps into your very being, tainting it. The morning after the kiss, I awoke to a gnawing emptiness in my belly. Sunlight poured through the blinds, a glaring reminder of normalcy, as if the world hadn't crumbled into chaos just hours before. Yet it indeed had. Alas, the only finger I could point was at my own reflection. A hush that echoed with unspoken words. For 3 long days, David kept his distance from me. He slipped away before the first light of dawn and returned only after the clock struck midnight. When our paths intertwined, he averted his gaze from mine. The atmosphere around us grew heavy with the unspoken words, lingering in the silence. I convinced myself it was the right choice. The distance between them weighed heavily on his heart, filling him with regret. On the 4th night, a buzz from my phone broke the silence. As the clock strikes 11 in the evening, my hands trembled as I crafted my response. There's a silence that speaks volumes. There was a character named David. Ah, but deep down, you must realize that's not the truth, my friend. Ah, the second misstep in our tale. It was a decision I now regret deeply. As the clock struck 10:59 p.m., as I crossed the threshold into the garage, a world of memories and possibilities awaited me. The aroma of motor oil, mingling with the essence of aged wood, envelops me. David leaned against his motorcycle, arms folded, clad in the familiar, frayed Led Zeppelin shirt that had been with him since his high school days. "You kissed me back," he stated matter-of-factly. My cheeks ignited with a fiery warmth. It was an error in judgment. Ah, he drew nearer. It was your desire. In the same way, I embarked on my journey. I prepared to voice my disagreement. And then, once more, his lips met mine. This time, the tempest was absent, leaving no one to point fingers at the skies. There is no interruption in the power supply. Only we remain, facing the harsh reality. We had crossed the threshold of pretense, and so the tale of deception unfolds. Jason returned home the following week. I welcomed him with a smile that seemed to conceal my true feelings. She pressed her lips to his cheek, a gesture filled with warmth and devotion. Inquired about his journey as my heart raced, pounding so fiercely I thought he might catch the sound of it. That night, As he lay beside me in slumber, I found myself gazing at the ceiling, lost in contemplation. How many women have walked this path before me? How many have woven tales to their husbands while their hearts danced with another? The answer held no significance. Now, I found myself among them. A narrow escape. It was 2 weeks later, and there we were, David and I, in the kitchen, when suddenly, Jason made an unexpected entrance. As I reached for my wine glass, it slipped from my grasp, cascading to the floor and shattering into 1,000 sparkling pieces on the tile. Ah, what a surprise! With a hearty laugh, Jason reached for a towel. "What's going on with you?" David's eyes met mine with a spark of intrigue. For just a fleeting moment, yet it held all the significance in the world. Feeling weary, I murmured, as I knelt to gather the fragments. Jason gently pressed his hand on my shoulder. "It seems your focus has wandered a bit recently." Ah, if he only possessed the knowledge of the reasons behind it all. The guilt that consumed my very being. It all began with a vision of being discovered. Jason stumbled upon David's messages. A neighbor gazing at us through the window. A wayward lipstick, Jason graced David's collar. The most challenging moment. A whisper of desire lingered within me, urging me towards the edge of discovery. For the weight of guilt bore down heavier than any punishment could ever inflict. The truth does not grant you liberation. It shatters you completely. In that moment, if you possess the strength, it transforms you anew. I had always imagined that betrayal would unfold with a flourish, full of tension and theatrics. Shouting echoes, doors banged shut, a whirlwind of turmoil reminiscent of the silver screen. Yet, when the conclusion arrived, it was serene. And it all began with a simple text message, a message that turned the tide of fate. There was a character named Jason. "Join me at the Hilton on 5th, in room 1427, where tales await to unfold." At this very moment, a chill coursed through my veins. Jason had a plan to be in Denver. In a cozy apartment across town, David found himself immersed in his thoughts. There I stood in our bedroom, gazing into the mirror, pondering the length of time I had been leading a life split in two. I responded with a few words. What brings about this question? What tale unfolds before us? Gather round, for I have a tale to share about a character named Jason. Simply arrive. The journey of regret. As the elevator ascended to the 14th floor, time seemed to stretch and linger, each moment dragging on like a tale waiting to unfold. Each moment elongated, as if pulled and twisted like sweet taffy. My thoughts whirl through a tapestry of possibilities. Did he uncover the messages from David? Was there a neighbor who caught a glimpse of us? Or perhaps, did David share the tale with him? As the doors swung wide, a wave of emotion washed over me, threatening to buckle my knees. At the very end of the hall stood room 1427, a place where stories lingered in the air. The door stood ever so slightly open, inviting curiosity from those who dared to glance within. With a gentle nudge, it swung wide. The truth unfolds before our eyes. Jason perched on the edge of the bed, a moment suspended in time. With a weary visage, he sat, a manila folder resting beside him. There is no room for anger. There shall be no raised voices. Only weariness lingers. 2 weeks ago, I took the step of hiring a private investigator, he said in a hushed tone. A chill ran through me. With a smooth motion, he pushed the folder in my direction. Images from within. Time Jasoned. Inarguable. There was a moment shared between David and me at the garage. It was just David and I cruising along in his car. There we were, David and I, sharing a kiss just outside that coffee shop I had always claimed I never visited with him. The clash of wills. "You're my wife," Jason declared, his voice trembling with emotion. There was a stepmother. As I parted my lips, silence enveloped me, and no sound emerged. What tale could I weave? I apologize. It just unfolded. It was never my intention to cause you pain. Every bit of it was true. Everything faded into insignificance. There was a phone call. With a sense of purpose, Jason reached for his phone and began to dial a number, anticipation building with each digit he pressed. In that moment, time seemed to freeze as David's voice echoed through the speaker, leaving my heart in suspended animation. "Father, your stepmother is here with me," Jason said, his gaze fixed intently on me. "Our journey has reached its conclusion." In the stillness, a hush envelops the world. Then came David's sharp inhale. "Oh dear." A sound echoed through the air. Click. And just like that, silence enveloped the conversation. The echoes of what transpired linger on. Jason stood, his back turned to me, as he walked to the window. "I loved you," he said. "Both of you gathered together in this moment." Then he uttered the words that broke me apart. "Leave now. Some fires consume more than just bridges. They burn the land to cinders, ensuring that nothing shall ever flourish in that place again." The hotel door clicked shut behind me, Jasoning the end of my old life in an instant. There were no grand farewells, no last-minute salvation, only the hush of stillness. And the burden of my actions bore down on me, heavy and palpable, as if it were a tangible force. On that inaugural night of solitude, in a moment of desperation, I found myself in a humble motel room, the kind that offers little more than a roof over your head, for I had nowhere else to turn. My sister was silent, her phone untouched, as I reached out, hoping for a response. All my friends were once friends of Jason's before they became mine. Even the beloved family dog, a golden retriever named Bobby, whom I had taken in, would be keeping him company. I found myself perched on the rough motel bedspread, my gaze fixed on my phone, anticipation hanging in the air as I waited for... There was something. There was a message from David, a call from Jason that went unanswered, a clear indication that this was all just a figment of imagination. Silence lingered, and nothing arrived. Our joint bank account was the sole messenger of news. Jason had already captured it in ice, the voicemail that shattered my world. After 3 long days, my phone finally buzzed to life. It wasn't from David. From his mother, a tale unfolds. There was a character named Kate. Jessica's voice carried a chilling serenity. "Should you reach out to my son once more, I will take the necessary steps to file a restraining order." Jason unveiled the photos to me. "You are unwell. Seek assistance." A fleeting glance captured the essence of a moment. It took me 4 rounds before the words truly sank in. My boy. He is not our son, not your boy of the past. A distinct line etched upon the shore. David was never truly in my grasp to begin with. A missive. A week had passed since the hotel when a certified letter made its entrance, the documents of separation. Jason was serious about his intentions. No guidance, no mediation involved. It was a precise and detached ending to our 15-year journey together. The conditions were harsh. There were houses, our treasured trove of savings, divided, yet accompanied by a moral stipulation that granted him 70%. Allow me to introduce myself. Pulled through the mire if I dared to challenge it, I acquiesced without a struggle. What was the purpose of it all? It was the final moment I laid eyes on David. It was at the courthouse, amidst the tension of the divorce hearing, that our paths crossed once more. He appeared quite dreadful, his complexion a ghostly pale, and his frame had grown noticeably thinner. His eyes were a deep shade of red, as if sleep had eluded him for countless nights. We lingered in the hallway, caught in a moment that felt like time itself had paused. 2 souls intertwined by unspoken familiarity, yet bound by the distance of anonymity. With a soft voice, he murmured an apology. I felt the urge to return the sentiment. Alas, an apology alone cannot mend this situation. And so, I took my leave. The tale that follows. Half a year has passed. Jason decided to part ways with his old home and embarked on a new adventure in Florida. David made the bold decision to leave grad school behind. Whispers abound that he has taken up arms and joined the ranks of the military. Once the scandal unfurled, my design business withered away. Currently, I find myself in the realm of a furniture store. There are moments when I glance into a mirror and find a stranger staring back at me. On certain days, I find myself pondering whether this has been my true self all along. The ultimate revelation. Whispers abound that affairs revolve around the one you choose to betray with. Yet, that is but a falsehood. They revolve around the individual you betray and the fragments of your own soul that you shatter along the way. In my mind, I believed I was lending a hand to David. In my heart, I believed I was on a journey to rediscover my joy. Yet, in my pursuit of fleeting warmth, I ended up igniting the flames that consumed 2 lives. 3, if I include my own. There was a woman named Kate, whose journey took a dark turn, revealing the perilous consequences of blurred lines, unrestrained longing, and the fabrications we weave to rationalize our choices. At its heart, this tale unveils the fragility of moral boundaries, illustrating how emotional vulnerability, loneliness, and forbidden attraction intertwine, leading to the profound repercussions that arise when selfish desires overshadow ethical duties. Kate, in her earnest conviction that she was aiding David, veiled her own unfulfilled desires, illustrating how self-deception can be the precursor to one's downfall. What started as a well-intentioned act of kindness transformed into a deep betrayal that broke apart her marriage, tore her family asunder, and etched enduring wounds on all those touched by the events. The tale reveals that relationships deemed forbidden, regardless of the fervent justifications behind them, frequently arise from profound personal emptiness. In the midst of Kate's faltering marriage and the heavy weight of unprocessed grief from her miscarriages, she found herself drawn to David. She mistook his need for her as a form of love, and her own deep loneliness began to shimmer with the allure of something she hoped was genuine. David's vulnerability unfolded like a tale of woe, serving as a spark for calamity. It revealed how the scales of power, be they emotional, generational, or familial, can twist one's judgment. In this intricate dance, both characters deftly maneuvered, exploiting each other's frailties while cloaked in the illusion of shared understanding. The aftermath, Jason's silent anguish, David's retreat into solitude, and Kate's descent into social and financial despair, reveals that betrayal casts a shadow far beyond the one who is wronged. It devours the traitors, casting them adrift in the ruins of their own decisions. The tale also reflects on the hubris of thinking one can master the outcomes of wrongdoing. Kate believed that secrecy could last forever, yet the truth, much like gravity, has a way of revealing all in the end. The tale's sorrowful trajectory underscores that certain boundaries, once breached, remain forever unalterable. When trust shatters, it seldom finds its way back to wholeness, and bonds forged in falsehood are destined to crumble beneath the burden of their own lies. Kate's ultimate understanding that infidelities reveal more about the individual you transform into than the one you engage with illuminates a profound truth. Our decisions shape our identities far more than our aspirations ever could. There was a cautionary tale that spoke of the enchanting pull of desire, particularly when it arises from a deep-seated insecurity. This fleeting validation, though tempting, comes with a price that lingers long after the moment has passed. In the end, the tale stands as a powerful reminder that ethical boundaries are there for a purpose, and that the fleeting thrill of forbidden desire pales in comparison to the lasting harm it can cause. A lesson carved into the remnants of Kate's past, where the only thing left to reconstruct is the painful realization that she alone must bear the weight of her actions.